What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? We are back for another episode of Big Brother. We are on episode 3 of the All-Star Season 22. It is our first power of Veto. And ladies and gentlemen, we are playing Big Brother, okay? We have a few things, not a whole lot to talk about. So, we had the nominations Sunday night. Keisha and Kevin are on the block. And, of course, Kevin has a total meltdown. And Keisha is just sitting there like, all these other people, and it's me? Okay. So, of course, she goes to talk to Cody, and she asked him, she said, so, just out of curiosity, what is it about me that made you say, your turn? And, Cody was honest. I want to say this. I think so far, I'm seeing a lot of honesty. Now, we know that's not going to last. It's not part of gameplay. You can't really go through this and be honest. Like, let's be clear. He said, listen, I just don't know you. I'm being honest. I just don't know you. I had to put somebody up. Me and you just haven't had a lot of conversations. And Keisha is sitting there with this, she is sitting there with this, dumbfounded face, what the hell? What do you, really? I felt for her. In that moment, I was confused for her because I felt the same way. But again, Cody's thing is, listen, I'm head of household. You ain't come to me to talk to me, so... I had to put some people up, you was one of them. Then we had this really great conversation with Devon. Somebody, I guess, corrected me in the comments. I thought I said her name right. Sorry. With Devon and Kesar, who was saying, and he was just talking about how the first time he was on the show, it was in the middle of the Iraq, war. Iran and Iraq was at war, and of course he's Iranian, I believe. And he said that, it was sort of like he didn't want to be the poster child kind of thing. He said, but fast forward, I'm a father now. I just have a lot of other things going on. He said, and I just look at our world, and our world is just so crazy. And he was talking to Devon, and of course, he was talking about protests and the kneeling, and, and he was just talking about the world and how crazy the world is. And, he was just having a moment, and I felt like she felt the moment. Now, Nicole F was over on the couch looking, and I was kind of interested on where she landed on it, but she didn't really speak on it. But it was a moment. It was a moment. I'm glad they included it. Let me say this as a sidebar. Big Brother doesn't have the best history when it comes to racial relations, and I'm already hearing some things that I'm not happy with as far as this season is concerned. I haven't seen it for myself, so until I see it for myself, I want to hold my tongue on it. But I'm hearing some things, Big Brother, and then I don't like it, so I'm gonna leave it there. And again, it is a reality show, so you can't control what people say. It's about how you handle what is being said. That is going to be where I'm coming from. Now, then we have Tyler, who is getting ready to make the same mistake he made in with his season. He is making alliances with every damn body. Tyler has an alliance with everybody in that day. Tyler probably got an alliance with the cameraman. He has an alliance with everybody in the damn house. And he said, well, it's Big Brother. When people come up to you and say, let's have an alliance, it's not like you can say no. And that's true. It's hard to say no because then it sort of tips your hand to other, well, if you won't have an alliance with me, who you want to have an alliance with? Well, who are you messing with? Who you involved with? It is hard and it's early. And so it'll be very interesting to see how that sort of builds down. What I am noticing though so far, and again, I keep telling y'all, I'm only going by what the show is showing me, not what we're seeing on the live feeds. But what I find interesting is that we're seeing a lot of final twos. We're seeing a lot of pairs. We're not seeing a lot of these big alliances that's got 8 people in it that eventually are going to, take over the house and then they got to start eating each other kind of thing. So I found that to be very interesting. So let's talk about some of the alliances that we have. So we know Cody and Nicole have a final 4. I don't think they have a name for theirs, but they have a final 4. Then we have Enzo, who I had no idea that Enzo and Cody were going to work together, but they both from Jersey and they've decided to work together. Enzo is a little extra though. I think Enzo might end up, I think his personality may end up overwhelming Cody, but so far they cool, and they're calling themselves the Rue. We have the $1 Million Club. That's Ian and Nicole. Ian said, listen, we the only two winners up in this house. So just out of, he said, we're going to have a bullseye on us because people are going to be like, they don't need to win twice. They already won once. He said, if it ever comes down to us and somebody else, that could definitely be something that could sway people to say, hey, they've already won. So they've decided to look out for each other. So Cody and Nicole are in the final two together. But Nicole is also in the final two with Ian. And Cody is also in the final two with Enzo. Y'all following it? Now, Enzo saw Nicole and Ian talking game, and he went back to Cody and told Cody, I don't know how I feel about that. But he wasn't upset with Nicole per se, but he's got his eye on Ian. We also found out that Ian is on the spectrum, meaning the autism spectrum. So he is, he said, slightly autistic. I'm going to be honest, I'm not shocked by that information. I actually thought on his season, I kind of thought it. And maybe I don't know if that's the educator in me. I don't know if that's just, I don't know. But I kind of thought it. So I didn't know it was a secret. I didn't know it was something people didn't know. I don't know. But it's not a big deal. I mean, hell, he messed around and won. So clearly y'all know that don't mean nothing. Then we have Bailey and Devon. I still feel like I'm saying her name wrong. But anyway. Y'all already know that when they saw each other, it was like, you see me, I see you, we see each other. And of course, they're calling themselves a Black Girl Magic. So, and I'm sure there are other alliances. I heard something about a girls' alliance and stuff like that in the win. But these are the alliances that they showed us on tonight's episode. So, gotta keep all that in mind. So, it's time to play for the veto, right? So, we have Tyler, Enzo, Kevin, Cody, Keisha, and Ian playing. Now, Kevin picked Enzo. He had player's choice. And he picked Enzo. Everybody else's name came up, naturally. Now, everybody was playing to win. At least they're saying so right now. Now, we may find out later on that they were throwing the competition. But as of right now, everybody was playing to win. And it was a competition. It was one of those competitions where they had to get on this. It was a playoff of the Paleoton / looked like a farmer's market kind of thing. And they had to ride the big banana. All kinds of puns come to your mind. For 30 seconds. Or they had to, I think, do it 30 times or something. And then they got off and they were building the fruit. And whoever had the most fruit at the end won. They had 30 minutes to get it done. And of course, if it fell down, obviously you had to start over. If you had, I think, 30 seconds once you got off, or 40 seconds or something. And if you let your time run out, then you were eliminated. And everybody seemed to be doing pretty good for a while. And then it seems like, I don't know, towards the end, it seems like people started kind of screwing up a little bit. Cody actually was in the lead, but then I think his thing fell down and he tried to build it back up and he wasn't paying attention to the time. And I'm thinking that they weren't allowed to yell that out to them because Bailey said it once, but then there were a couple of times where you could tell they wanted to say something and they weren't saying, but it was like, watch your time, watch your time. But Cody ended up missing his time, and so Cody was actually the first one eliminated, and he was actually sort of in the lead. Then we had Enzo. Enzo, he clocked out at, I want to say he had 16. Now, Kevin had actually built his up higher than Enzo, and he was going to go ahead and clock out, but he noticed that Keisha was still building. Now, Keisha is on the block next to him. So I understood his reasoning for doing it. He said, listen, I can't clock out. As long as she building, I got to keep building. But he had gotten to 19, and I feel like he should have clocked out at 19. And just when he was getting ready to clock out, he let the time run out. Like, he literally was 1 second away. And he would have actually won because Keisha ended up falling. I think Ian let his time run out, and so Enzo actually won. So had he hit the buzzer when he had the 19 fruit piled up, he would have won. And that would have changed the whole trajectory of this game because, of course, he would have taken himself off the block, forcing Cody to pick somebody else. But this way, Enzo wins, and they really can just keep the noms the same because, of course, him and Cody are working together. Now, Cody's thing is, maybe it is time to shake this game up a little bit. But at the end of the day, he said, listen, ain't nobody really getting on my nerves. He said, I can keep it in my back pocket. But nobody's really getting on my nerves. Like, I don't really see a reason to switch it up. But him and Kevin do have a really good conversation. And Kevin says, listen, if you take me off the block, okay, if I get head of household, you're safe. Or next week, if I win the VIP suite, you could be my +1. And Cody was like, you know what? That is actually very tempting. But he talked to Enzo, and they had a conversation about it. Because Kevin went to Enzo. Enzo was really honest about it. Enzo was like, listen, if Cody's cool with it, I'll take you off the block. But it's his HOA. HOH. I'm not going to, go against what he wants. So if he say cool, then it's cool. And that's when Kevin went to go talk to Cody. And Cody's thing is, listen, if I'm going to save somebody, I want to save Kevin. Because I feel like I can work with Kevin. And I actually do kind of like the guy. But I don't want to take him off the block if I don't have to. Because I really don't want any more. At this point, he don't want any more blood on his hands. Like, nobody was really upset with his picks. Other than Keisha and Kevin, of course. But he doesn't want any more blood on his hands. And so when it came down to the veto ceremony, Enzo didn't use it. So Kevin and Keisha are still on the block. So now we are in campaign mode. So we're going to see how they are campaigning and who they are campaigning. And just as a hint, which I know nobody in the house can hear me, I hope y'all counting them damn rubber duckies they got all over the house. I hope y'all, I know y'all can't like write stuff down, but I hope y'all are mentally sitting in that bathroom, counting them ducks, sitting in the living room, counting them ducks, and know how many ducks are in each room. I just feel like it's going to come up in a competition at some point. But nothing Big Brother does is by accident. There's too many of them damn ducks around the house. That's too much of an opportunity for them to use those ducks for something. Them ducks are going to be used for something. Anyway, let me know what y'all think, y'all. Who y'all think going home? I really feel like it's going to be Keisha. Even though, no, I shouldn't say that, because Keisha actually has allies, whereas Kevin, he's sort of by himself unless Cody and them start campaigning for him. I don't know, Kevin might be in trouble, you guys. But I like Kevin. He's a little extra, real dramatic. But I like him. Anyway, talk to y'all later. Peace.